Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back here with Attack on Titan Season 4, Episode 2, Episode 61. So before I jump in, just to let you guys know, this isn't if you guys didn't see the first episode, I'm going to do my best to break it down and analyze it, and I'm going to give you guys my honest review, and there won't be much of a traditional reaction here because of copyright issues. And I'm well aware that I can change the opacity, and do all kinds of things to manipulate the footage, but that's just not something I want to do. So guys, maybe in the future I'll have a website or something like that. But right now this is how it is. Before I jump into episode 2, let's go ahead and recount, review, summarize episode 1. The show introduced us to some new characters. The episode is actually titled The Other Side of the Sea. Okay? So on the other side of the sea, we see Marley, and we see how they use the power of the Titans and the Eldians for their military. Yeah, there's a lot of really hard discrimination against the Eldians. You know, as we saw previously, they're basically living in kind of like a concentration camp or like a ghetto, you know, that kind of parallels World War II. And they're used as soldiers, and they're used in a way to where it's like, okay, you fight for Marley, for the motherland, and you can regain your honor and you won't be a devil anymore. And then we have some new characters. Gabby, Udo, Zofia, and Falco. And then I've since learned, and because I must have missed in the episode, that Falco and Colt are brothers. Falco, Gabby, Udo, and Zofia, they are all in training to see who inherits the Armored Titan from Reiner. And it looks like to me, because of her bravery and because of her awesomeness, Gabby is going to be the one. There's a scene where she acts like she is a hurt civilian little girl. She walks over to the side of the Mid-Eastern Allied forces with grenades attached to her foot. She throws it at the armored train. That's a new weapon, and it has all this really high-quality anti-Titan artillery on it. So she blows that up, and then after that they had the dropping, the kinetic bombardment, as Reiner says, of all the Titans being dropped down. I know Zeke is of royal blood, but he just screams and they come to life. I didn't really understand that. But, you know, I just might have missed something. You know what I mean? It's entirely possible. I did review the show in its entirety before the season started, but it's possible I just could have missed that. Just let me know in the comments. But if it's a spoiler, don't tell me. So there's a 4-year time jump, okay? We find out because of the failure on Paradise Island, the whole world has basically gone to war with Marley over their perceived the weaknesses of losing their battle titans, Bear told Annie. So, Reiner is the only one who really returned. Well, when I watched this episode again, learned that I just missed it when I watched it the first time. Galliard is called Jaws. I was calling it the lion-looking Titan. When Colt, who's going to inherit the Beast Titan, is talking to Commander McGaff, he suggests taking out Cart and Jaws, which is Galliard and Peck. I think Peck or Pike. So basically I learned Jaws was the name of Galliard's Titan, and Cart is the name of Peck. And we haven't seen Galliard or Peck yet. At least I don't think. Okay? Maybe they've been shown to me and I didn't know that they were actually Titan. So, a few questions I had, okay, for the show. Why don't the Titan warriors stage a revolt against Marley? They have the power of the Titans. I mean, I understand that they want to win freedom and prestige to Marley so they can free the Eldians and they don't have to live in segregated housing anymore. There is that, but that problem could just be remedied if they were smart and had a really quick, intelligent revolt. You know what I mean? So I guess that's my question: is why don't Reiner and Zeke, you know, why don't they do that? To me, it seems to me, based on what you hear about Zeke in the previous season, that whatever, and because of what he did to his parents, he's a true believer. But Reiner isn't. You know what I mean? So Reiner, he lived amongst them, and I imagine because of what we saw when he was in the walls, we saw that he was really conflicted and torn He made friends with Eren and Armin and Mikasa. Yeah, so... And also, another question. So after Marley drops all the Titans from the air onto Fort Slavia. So all the Titans, the 50% who are remaining, what do they do with those Titans after? Do they just let them walk around? Do they use the beast in the armor to kill them? I really have no idea. So it's the other nations that have anti-Titan artillery. We technically, from what I understand, Marley doesn't. So yeah, my question is, what do they do with those Titans that are walking around? And I think that's pretty much all I have, guys. Out of the 4 candidates, Gabby seems the one who's going to probably inherit the Armored Titan. And she basically won the war for him. It's established that Titans are becoming a relic of the past because all the nations are developing weaponry to use against Marley. So Titans are going to be kind of obsolete soon. Which, that's not good for the audience as well, I imagine. Alright guys, I think that's it. I think I'm going to jump into the episode and then I'm going to jump back here and give you guys my review and my thoughts, okay? Alright guys. Hey guys, what's going on? I just watched the episode and now I'm going to break it down. First, my overall impression is I loved it. I was really impressed. First episode, there was a lot of action. This episode, we get to see our warrior candidates and all the Eldian soldiers come back to Marley. Either way, they're back to Marley, back to their concentration ghetto camp. I guess it's not a concentration camp because they're not doing work in there, but they're in their enclosure, their ghetto where their segregated housing where the Eldians have to live. You know what I mean? And if you have the armband, you're more special. There's actually a moment at 12:50 where it makes a distinction with the armbands, but it was so fast I didn't get to really read it. Eldian armbands. These armbands are used to differentiate the Eldian devils from other races. I knew that. Eldians of higher classes may have armbands with different colors. I did catch that. Okay, armband color can vary depending on if the Eldian is in the military or a regular civilian. It is mandatory for Eldians in Marley to wear their armband when they go outside. So, in the beginning, we have the Marley War Council sitting in the remains, which I think is the Slavian fort, the remains of it. So they're there discussing kind of the headlines of the battle, where the world is pretty much on high alert that, hey, this was a tough battle for the Titans, and the power of all the other nations are going to eventually, the military might is going to surpass the power of the Titans. So the brass isn't happy. Zeke, who is allowed to sit on the council as well, they called him the Boy Wonder. He makes a suggestion. Another thing. Once again, we have the birds up in the air. Everyone's like, there was an extended scene where everyone was looking up through like the hole in the ceiling, and they were looking at the birds, which is just symbolism of the birds is used a lot in Attack on Titan. So I just noticed it again. And so Zeke makes a suggestion that they resume Operation Paradis, go back and steal the Founding Titan. And he basically says, hey, we need to do this because we can stall while Marley grows its own military might to match the other nation. What kind of great headline would it be to show the world, hey, we now have the power of all 9? Okay, that would put everyone on notice, right? I want to say this before I forget. Commander McGath, I just like him. I know he's a shitty guy, but I just like his character. I don't know why. It's one of my favorite movies. It came out in the 90s. It's called Men of Honor. It has Robert De Niro and Cuba Gooding Jr. It takes place in the 60s, I believe. Okay, I hope I'm not wrong about that. Carl Brashear. He is an African-American who wants to be a Navy diver. And he goes head-to-head with the racist Master Chief Billy Sunday, Robert De Niro's character. And it's a really antagonistic relationship, but one that eventually is built on respect. And it becomes this really cool relationship to where these two people of different ideologies, they come together and they become friends. And even though one guy was obviously outranked the other and was racist, okay, so Chief Sunday is a racist guy, not as racist as some people in that movie. okay, like the crazy Nazi guy living on top. But eventually he comes to really respect Carl Bashir. So like I felt that coming from Officer McGath. Hey, he's fought next to these guys, and I said this in my last review conversation reaction. How can these guys eventually not come to respect these aliens when they just want to be free? They just want to bring glory to Marley. They just want their families to not be looked at through segregated eyes. They want to be treated like everyone else. Gabby wants to fight for her family to show the world, hey, the aliens here aren't like the devils on the island. So, it just, that was cool. And we had that moment where, Zeke, he was allowed to speak. They listened to him. It's just cool to see like a Zeke got to the point where he earned everyone's respect. And he should have not have had to earn it based on skin color. But nonetheless, he earned it. And they listened. So yeah. And then he was talking to, he said that thing where I have a year left to live. So yeah, it's been 12 years. Okay. I did catch that. There's 1 year left on his term. He wants to redeem himself, and he has a year left to do it. He was talking to Colt saying, hey, sorry I threw shade at you to further my agenda. And Colt, like myself, they were really impressed that Zeke was able to talk to the chain of command, the higher military guys like that. And then Zeke talked about, hey, you'll know my secret. And I could be wrong, but I don't remember if there was, I can't remember, does Zeke know his mom is of royal blood? So he has, so they said he has abilities. Does that have to do with how he's able to scream and turn those Eldian people into Titans? I don't know, because they didn't really answer that. So I guess he just, because of his royal blood, he can do that. But like, how does he control it? Yeah, I just want to know how that works. I think it's cool, but it's kind of OP, if you ask me. He starts screaming, and everyone who can hear him, who's an Eldian, would turn into a Titan. Okay, and then we have Reiner waking up in bed, still experiencing nightmares and post-traumatic stress over his time on Paradise Island, because he had to end. Do I have to go back to that damn island? When he was talking to his mother and his uncle and Gabby, and I think so they're all family. Like that must be. Not his sister, it must be his cousin, Gabby and Reiner. Okay. He was talking about, like, hey, there's good people, there's bad people here. Like, he started the conversation to say, hey, these people, they truly are devils. And then the more he talks, the more he starts to create distinctions between them. Like, there's someone who's selfish, only thought about himself, and there's a fool who only thought of others. And there's someone who was so hopelessly driven, other fools followed him, which I assume that's Aaron. I got to see Galliard and Peck. So the Car Titan and the Jaw Titan. Galliard, he seems like a cool dude. I like his undercut haircut. Yeah, he's the lion guy, the Jaw Titan. So Ymir's freaking Titan was the Jaw Titan. Okay? And then she ate his brother, Marcel. And then Marcel's brother, Galliard, ate her. And he talked, so it's been 9 years. And he's saying that he should have inherited the Armor Titan 9 years ago. And then none of this stuff would have happened. Okay, so he was kind of, picking on Reiner, saying, hey, you're not the brave guy who knows how to lead. Why were you acting that way? I saw your memories through Ymir. And another question I have, I was going to say this towards the end, but I'll just say it now. So it's kind of an iconic image of like they're chained up. The person who's going to get consumed, so the person who has one of the 9, they're chained up, and it's like this ceremonial type thing. So I'm just wondering, what's the deal with that? Like, and why would the Marleyans care about that type of ceremonial way of passing on their powers? I know for me personally, I'd want to be killed. I'd want to be shot before that happened to me. Like, they just consume my dead body. If that doesn't work, then put me to sleep. Okay? Put me in a deep sleep, knock me out, and then eat me. I don't want to be chained up. And then presumably, I imagine, like, you get ripped out of there from the Titan, and then your shoulders fucking dislocate and break. Ugh. And then you just die a terrible death. That doesn't seem like... Yeah, imagine like you're one of these kids who... It looked like Gabby Udo, Zofia, and Falco, that they're like teenagers or they're preteens, right? Falco talked about her dying at 27. Yeah, so if she gets chosen, there's a period of time where she has to shadow the person whose power she's going to inherit, because Colt is shadowing Zeke. He's with him all the time. He's in that war council. So maybe she's not 14, maybe she's 12, and there's going to be a couple years. There's 4 more years left before Reiner has to lose the Armored. Okay? So I hope my math's right, people. Okay, and we had another really cool part, and I'm sorry I missed this part. I have to rewind again at the beginning of the episode. They're riding the train back, and they're lifting Gabby on their shoulders, and Falco held that, and Falco had the moment where it looked like he was looking at like the whole system and doubting it. Like, listen, well, it's either that or he's obviously in love with Gabby. Okay, and he doesn't want her to die at 27 years old. So he wants to inherit the power to spare her. And even Reiner, after he gave Falco that scare, like, listen, if I turn you in, your ass is going to be dropped from helicopters. You're going to be sent to Paradise Island. So Falco, he walked back on that real quick, said, hey, I'm sorry. It's an honor. But then, and then Reiner agreed and said, hey, you have to surpass Gabby so you can spare her of like the darkness that's awaiting us. That I'm in, and then it's awaiting you. So, and then of course, then we had that internal monologue with Falco, wondering like, can I trust Reiner? Does he think the way I do? Does he want all aliens to be free? I don't know. And we had more post-traumatic stress with Reiner. After Reiner recovered, he gets out of bed, he walks down the street, and we see he's still going through his post-traumatic stress, because he looks and he sees the young versions of Annie and Bertolt, and I didn't recognize the other two. I imagine it was Galliard and maybe Marcel. I don't know. So he's looking back, seeing young versions of his friends and himself and what he went through, and he's just seeing the cycle repeat itself. And now these kids, they're going to go through that, and it's just, to him, it's still really traumatizing. Okay, so when Reiner is talking to his mom about the devils on Paradise Island, and he does kind of a bad job as painting them as devils as the story gets unfolded, and we had that moment where Gabby is like, wait, they're devils, aren't they? Which, that's a pretty... Man, like that ideology has to really have taken hold. But I guess if you have these people turning these fucking giants eating people, then maybe it'll be easier to embrace that ideology. Like Reiner's mom is like this sweet woman. I'm sure she loves her son, cares about her family. But she's like that racist grandparent who, like, I'm from a mixed family, and so like, you have that. You have like that racist family member, and like, oh, they are this sweet, nice person. But then you just see like sometimes where you can have like a really sweet, good person, like genuinely a good person, and then they inherited a bad ideology. And they haven't, through either, mostly because fault of their own and because environmental factors, they haven't shed themselves of that bad ideology yet. So as far as everyone who's living in Marley, all the audience, they have every reason to believe that they are devils. And the reason why they're suffering is because, King Fritz left and started a paradise on that island, right? We also talk about the Tiber family. So there's a lot of exposition in this, and they do that in anime a lot, and I forgive it. But it's real apparent. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they all know who the Tibers are, but like Peck was revealing to the audience, me, that they were Eldians they don't have all the hate that the rest of the Eldians have, because their family helped overthrow the evil Eldian Empire back in the day, and they had in possession the Warhammer Titan that they never use in battle. It's a funny name that they never use the Warhammer Titan in their wars. But it's in possession by the Tiber family. We do know that a long time ago, before King Fritz left, the families were kind of feuding. Yeah, the Tibers aren't really a part of the Marley military, but they're still, I seen they're still respected because Zeke was like, hey, if they talk, people will listen. So there's that right there. So that's really interesting. I'm really interested to see the Tybers. Are they going to be like... It's just really cool, like the idea that they would be revered by people. You know what I mean? Because they still have the same blood. You would just think that if people saw that the Tybers can do something good, then maybe all these other Eldians aren't bad. You know what I mean? They can do good things also. Is it like just a blood thing? Is it just like, like a mudblood Harry Potter thing? You know what I mean? Like, no, it's not you, it's your blood. Okay, so it didn't answer, like, what is done with leftover pure Titans after a battle? It hasn't answered that question for me. Okay, so another thing at the end, I caught this. Zeke said something about, like, Galliard, which is a badass name. When he asked, where's the brass at? Zeke said they're not in this room. And I caught that's an interesting way to word that. And then it revealed that they were actually listening in on them. And I imagine Zeke knows that. Okay? But Reiner caught that because Reiner... I'm pretty sure it was Reiner because in the subtitles it said Reiner, his internal monologue, when he said, not in this room, huh? And the brass was like, why does Zeke say that? But it seemed like Reiner maybe even cut off Galliard from saying something sacrilegious or, anti-Marleyan, and said, hey, listen, I don't care what we have to do as long as it's to serve our country with honor. No, I thought that was interesting that they still want to make sure that these guys don't go rogue. So they are actively taking steps to spy on them. And I imagine, I'm kind of answering my question from before I started this video, Zeke is such a believer that they just trust him because Zeke knew they were listening. I guess they didn't have a problem with that. If it wasn't for Zeke being such a believer, and it seems like Reiner isn't really a believer, but when he was laying the verbal smackdown on Falco on the train about, hey, listen, you can't talk like that, I think he was just going through the motions to make sure this kid doesn't say something stupid to get himself in trouble. Because, Reiner is doubting everything he ever believed in, because when he went over to Paradise, he realized that the people were just people, just like there's people over here, there's people over there, and there's good and bad people on both sides. And that's like one of my favorite things to see in a story, is just, like someone like Reiner is filled with all this hate, and for good reason. Like he's got a good reason for believing the way he believes. Like he was brainwashed, and he believes that we are this way because of all the people over there. He went over there, and it seems to me he's really changed his beliefs on that, even though he won't actively articulate that to everybody because he'll look like a crazy guy and he might get punished or executed or whatever else. But yeah, one more thing, man. Imagine when you're about to eat Ymir, and you're thinking, man, in 13 years, I'm going to be chained up there like that too. Did they do that? Is that how it works for everyone? I'm going on a tangent here, folks. But we saw that with Eren. But yeah, Eren was being held against as well. And Ymir wasn't being held against her well because they said that she practically gave that power up. It just leads me to believe that that's what they do. The Fritz family, when the uncle was eaten by the niece, I think he was chained up too. So yeah, man, I don't want to be chained up. That's how I'm ending this video. I'm going to be a Titan. Kill me in 13 years. I don't want to do that, but I am going to be a Titan and put me to sleep and eat me when I'm sleeping. That's what I want. And guys, so that's pretty much my breakdown. I hope I didn't leave anything out. I really, really liked this episode, and I look forward to what's going on next. So we're going to see the Tiber family, and when the heck are we going to see our heroes on Paradise Island? Eren, Mikasa, Armin. Zeke also mentioned the fact that they've sent 23 ships over there. None of them have come back. And he thought maybe Eren, the Attack Titan, teamed up with the female Titan. Which is just interesting because I don't know if Zeke... Yeah, I guess they don't know what happened to her. But as last time I saw her, I'm pretty sure she was enclosed in a big glass case. So she put herself in there to prevent from being interrogated or whatever else. One of the highlights of this episode for me was when they came back to Marley, opened up the gates, and all the family members the Eldian soldiers were there, and like even with Zeke and the grandparents, like you really feel that tenderness. Like, we're so proud of your accomplishments, and he's like, I'm not done yet. I felt for him. I felt for all of them. They still haven't converted me. I'm still on the side of my guys on Paradise Island, because ultimately, even though the Eldians that we see here, they've been brainwashed with bad ideology, they're still doing something shitty. Okay? They're still doing something shitty to the people on Paradise Island. They're fucking killing them, eating them. All right, that's shitty. All right? Shitty. And that, I think, is all I have, guys. I've been talking my ass off for like 25 minutes. So, I look forward to the next episode. I hope you guys like this breakdown. You guys left a lot of comments in the first video. Keep that up, and try not to put any spoilers in there. You guys didn't do that last time, and I appreciate it. So let's just keep the conversation going. All right, guys? Thanks a lot. Bye. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this channel and you want to support me and Jamie and Zach, just like and subscribe. Check out our other reactions. The Mandalorian, Gravity Falls. There's a bunch that we've done that we haven't put up yet, but there's a bunch. Just check it out. Leave some comments, guys, and hit us up.